Hey everyone, thanks for joining us here at Book Blather. If you're new here, I'm Dave, this is Olive, and we talk about books of all types to help spread the joy of reading. Except when it's Halloween season, and we don't talk about books of all types. We talk about specifically Halloween books. So if you saw our video, the last couple videos at the beginning of October, we are doing what we usually do in October, which is we are reading books that are not just scary books or horror books, but we are reading books that are specifically Halloween themed. And so, I'll try to link those videos below if I remember. We did a recap of the last couple years and ranked list if you want to try some of them yourselves. And we had a video describing which ones we are going to be reading this year. And we're putting videos up on a weekly basis in case you want to join along with us. So, same kind of format we've done in the past. We're doing a book a week, and then we try to supplement with a little either short story or part of an additional novel. Most of the books tend to be short, and so we're a little late getting this one up. This is recapping our first week. So we had a pretty good first week, right? We started off with a bang. I mean, you liked the book a lot, right, Olive? Did you like it a lot? I think, yeah, you liked it a lot. We both really enjoyed this book. The first book what we read this first week was Johnny Halloween, Tales of the Halloween Season by Norman Partridge. And so this book was published in 2010 by Cemetery Dance. It is a collection of short stories and an essay. And those stories, they range from, I think it was go back to like 1991, I think. It's like stories from that Norman Partridge had written related to Halloween over the course of 2 decades. 1990 to 2010. And that final one in 2010, which is the main reason we got this book, is an additional story that he wrote relating to this. This is a well-known Halloween book called Dark Harvest that Norman Partridge published in 2006, had a lot of accolades, won an award that year. We highly recommend it. It's our favorite Halloween-themed book that we have read so far. And the story that he wrote in this book called, what was the name of it? The Jacko Lantern, A Dark Harvest Tale, was an additional story he wrote related to that. So that's why we picked this up. This is a hard-to-get book. This is, as you can see, it says here, I don't know if you can see it, signed limited edition. I showed everybody this in the last video, but might as well show it again for those of you that haven't seen it. And as you can see, it is signed by Norman Partridge, and it says limited to 1,500 copies. Now, there are a couple editions of this book, but I know there's a fancier edition, a black cover edition that comes in a box that there's a very limited run of. I think it was 52 copies. So there's a couple of special editions, but I've only ever seen this as special editions, like if you go look on eBay to try to hunt it down. So it's tough to get this book at a reasonable price, but you could certainly find copies of it on eBay, or you can read, there is a Kindle version of it that you can read. So to give you a quick synopsis of this, as always, they're short stories, so I don't want to tell you too much about them, but just to give you a little flavor to whet your appetite. Partridge has we really enjoyed this book. So he has a little introduction about Halloween back in the day. And then there is 6 short stories and 1 essay. So the first short story was called Johnny Halloween. And this story was, so there's a number of twists in these stories that are pretty good. Norman Partridge, great writer, writes really well, but these stories some of them are just fun, some of them are a little disturbing, and there's some good twists in some of them. So this one, Johnny Halloween, this one really gets you. And there's this cop, and it's Halloween night, and he's supposed to be off duty, but he ends up being, there's a store robbery, and a liquor store or convenience liquor store, I think. And so he ends up being there and catching these teenagers. And this brings back some recollection of a very, very traumatic Halloween night of his where something similar happened many years ago. Lots of connections, some twists, really pretty disturbing story. And when you read this, one of those ones you read, you're like, whoa, it gets harsh. So that was really good. The next one is Satan's Army, and this one is kind of more. This was a neat story. I can't say too much about it, but this was. There are some religious figures, a reverend and some other authorities, and they're talking about, they're being asked questions about, whether they really think these different things, like the Wizard of Oz, whether these are really like agents of, Satan's army. But of course, there's some things going on behind the scenes, and that's all I can say about it. But it was good, fun story. Then there is the essay that Partridge wrote in here called "The Man Who Killed Halloween," and this is an essay about the Zodiac Killer, who, if you don't know, is like basically the first modern age serial killer that showed up in the late '60s and was never caught, and had basically the society in that area paralyzed with fear for a while, because he would disappear and then show up again and kill some people and then disappear. And so it was kind of interesting the way that essay just appears in the middle of this set of short stories, but it worked. It was a really good essay. You were happy to read it. The essay is as disturbing as any of the stories, because he tells the story and what happened to the people at the time. So it was good. Then there is another story, Black Leather Kites, and this is one of those ones that was just like a fun Halloween creature story, I guess you'd say. So this guy, he shows up at, and there's just this mower like running, like circulating by itself in a field, and he learns there had been like this pickup truck with a bunch of young guys in it and a bunch of kites flying off the back, and so he ends up going to investigate this, and his brother-in-law is involved, and it's a nice, like I said, satanic creature sort of story, and just a fun one, not a terribly deep one. Then there was the story Treats, and Treats was a pretty short one, and it was about this mother shows up, or you see her in a store watching some other woman's kid, and he's like begging for candy in the store, and then she goes back and home, and you see that something had happened to her son, I think a year before that at Halloween, and so her son has certain plans for Halloween, and that's all I can say. I can't say anything else about it. But it was a nice little nice little creepy, disturbing story. And then there's Three Doors. This was a really good one. This was about a guy that has he has a rubber hand because he lost his hand in the war. And so he paints at Halloween, he paints this hand black. I think it was on Halloween. These were all Halloween. So I think every single one of these was actually Halloween. So he paints his hand black and goes to knock on some doors because he's got, according to him, he has 3 knocks where the door that he knocks on, the person answers, has to do his bidding. And so his wife is no longer with him, and so he goes to knock on some doors to address this, and that's all I can say about it. Good story. It gets you. It's a little disturbing, so a very disturbing ending to that story. So, and then the final one, which is the reason we got this book, is The Jacko Lantern, a Dark Harvest Tale, and this was a really, really good supplement to Dark Harvest. So if you enjoyed Dark Harvest, if you've read that book, even though there's a little bit of a price point on this book, it's worth it just for that story. That is a great supplemental story that dives. You see the October Boy, which is the monster, if you will, from Dark Harvest, and then you see some of the other people. Dark Harvest was a book about every year there was this monster called the October Boy, and all the teenage boys in town on Halloween engage in a hunt to hunt down the October Boy, and that is if they win, that is their escape from the town, and their family will get some rewards for that. And there's a mysterious harvest guild that's connected with the sheriff's office that runs this thing. And so if this was a nice supplemental story about an October Boy and some of the authorities behind the scenes and how this town operates and how the Harvest Guild operates over time. So really, really good. So then the only other thing, so we supplemented, we had a little extra time, so we started this. This is one of the novels we are trying to supplement and do some additional stuff with. So this is The Man's. This is a paperback from hell. It's one of the old vintage horror novels that's in Grady Hendrix's paperback from hell that we talked about recently. Little tough to get, but we did hunt one down. And this is about a haunted house. I won't say too much about it because I'll review it when we're done. But basically, this is about a haunted house. These people that run a haunted house for the Halloween season. But then on this particular Halloween, it's, what is this one? The 12 year, this is the 13th annual House of Horrors. So I guess things go down. So we're not that far into it, but we're enjoying it so far. It's an easy read. So we will let you know more about that when we're done with this one. So that's what we read for the first week of our Halloween reads. Johnny Halloween, Tales of the Dark Season by Norman Partridge. And we started The Manse, which is going to be supplementing our other readings. So hope you all are off to a good start for October. Hope you have some good Halloween reads lined up or are reading some good Halloween reads already. Let us know what you're reading. We always want to hear what everybody else is doing, especially in this spooky season. If you've read any of these and you have any comments on them, let us know. Of course, we always like to hear that too. So happy Halloween to everybody. Hope it's a great month. We'll see you. We're late with this video, so we'll see you very soon with our recap of week 2. And as always, thanks so much for watching. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you next time.